True self-confidence is not a sudden epiphany or a feeling granted by external success. It is an internal architecture, painstakingly constructed through conscious choices, consistent action, and deep psychological alignment. To build this unshakable foundation, we must first spend significant time dismantling the pervasive myths that obscure its true nature. The first illusion is the conflation of confidence with arrogance. The second illusion is the belief that confidence means the absence of fear or doubt. This is perhaps the most damaging myth. If we wait to feel zero fear before taking action, we will remain paralyzed forever. Confidence is not the lack of doubt. It is the courage to act in its presence. It is the quiet, settled conviction in your own worth and capability, despite. Our journey must begin with a rigorous archaeological dig of the self. When conducting this internal inventory, remember the critical distinction. A historical event, a single word, a momentary failure, is a thing that happened, not a thing that you are. By creating this psychological distance, by separating the past narrative from your present identity, you create the necessary emotional space for growth and realignment. This is the act of self-forgiveness that precedes self-empowerment. Part 2. The Engine of Competence and the Power of the Small Win. Confidence does not arrive fully formed. It is the natural, logical consequence of consistent competence. This is where we move from introspection to execution. Think of confidence not as a characteristic, but as a result, a reward for effort. The core strategy here is the transition from passive expectation to active creation. Every single person has an internal accountability ledger. This ledger records every promise you make to yourself, whether kept or broken. If you promise to wake up early and you hit the snooze button, a small debit is recorded. If you commit to working on a difficult project for just 30 minutes and you follow through, a small credit is recorded. These tiny transactions, accumulated over time, determine the balance of your self-trust. When the ledger shows a net negative, your inner narrative shifts to, I hope I can do this, but I probably won't deliver. When the ledger shows a net positive, the narrative transforms to, I have proven I can be relied upon. This is the power of the small win. Confidence is not built by launching a new business overnight. It is built by successfully navigating Monday morning. It is built by finishing a difficult email, by organizing one small corner of your space, by consistently executing a challenging workout. These actions, accumulated day by day, create an unshakable internal track record, a private history that is infinitely more powerful and more permanent than any external praise or validation. Therefore, the daily task is to identify and execute small discretionary efforts, tasks that are not mandatory but are significant to your personal growth. These are the moments when you choose discipline over comfort. Every single successful execution of a discretionary effort serves as irrefutable evidence to your subconscious mind that you are capable, reliable, and fundamentally trustworthy. This consistent evidence is the fuel that powers true self-confidence. Part 3. The crucial role of unconditional self-acceptance. While competence builds capability, it is unconditional self-acceptance that provides the non-negotiable bedrock for resilience. This is the core belief that your inherent value and worth as a human being is independent of your performance, your status, your achievements, or even your mistakes. Why is this unconditional acceptance so critical? Because if your worth is tied directly to your success, then failure becomes existential. If you fail a project and your worth depends on success, you face an identity crisis. This high-stakes dependency creates an intense fear of vulnerability and a need for perpetual perfection. You stop taking necessary risks, you hide your mistakes, and you are unable to learn or grow because the threat of exposure is too great. Unconditional self-acceptance provides the ultimate psychological safety net. It allows you to say, "I failed this task, I made a mistake, and I must learn from it. But my value as a person remains absolutely intact." This acceptance is not complacency. It is the prerequisite for growth. Only when you know your worth is secure can you truly afford to take the risks required for evolution. It is a fundamental declaration. I am worthy of love, respect, and effort, not because of what I have accomplished today, but simply because I exist. This state of secure self-regard is the deep, quiet power that underpins all outward displays of confidence. Part 4. Managing the external climate and the trajectory of growth. Finally, we must talk about the external climate, the environment in which this architectural structure must stand. You cannot cultivate a delicate internal strength in a toxic external environment. First, the company you keep. Your immediate social circle acts as a constant influential feedback loop. Seek out those who practice constructive honesty, people who support your growth without pandering to your weaknesses, and who challenge your comfortable boundaries without diminishing your efforts. Conversely, you must create distance from relationships characterized by chronic comparison, passive aggression, or malicious intent. Protecting your psychological energy from these drains is not selfishness. It is an act of profound self-preservation. Second, exposure therapy for the soul. The practical application of confidence is to willingly and systematically engage in activities that cause a mild, manageable degree of discomfort. This is the systematic dismantling of the comfort zone. If public speaking is a fear, the goal is not to eliminate the fear, but to speak in a low-stakes environment repeatedly. If a perceived lack of knowledge is the barrier, the action is to seek out learning, to ask the beginners questions without shame. Each act of exposure, no matter how small, rewrites the brain's script. The feeling of, "I survived this challenge," gradually transforms into the firm belief of, "I am capable of handling this challenge." This active confrontation with discomfort is where true confidence solidifies into resilience. Third, mastery of internal dialogue. Confidence is primarily a conversation you have with yourself. When facing a setback, the unconfident person says, "I am a failure." The truly confident person asks, "What is the lesson in this outcome, and what action must I take next?" Your inner voice must be your greatest ally, not your harshest critic. Learn to replace judgmental language with inquisitive, action-orientated questions. This simple shift from defining yourself by an outcome to analyzing the outcome for data is perhaps the most powerful tool for sustained confidence. To conclude this deep exploration, confidence is not something you find. It is something you build. You build it by challenging your past narratives, creating a robust internal track record of small, consistent competence, anchoring it upon the unshakable foundation of unconditional self-acceptance, and finally, by consistently facing down discomfort. Start small, be deeply consistent, and watch as the hesitant hope of confidence solidifies into the steady assurance of capability. This is the enduring strength that allows you not merely to succeed, but to fully participate in your own life, to weather the inevitable storms with grace, resilience, and quiet, genuine power.